The morning sun struggled to break through the heavy clouds hanging over Windsor Castle, as if nature itself understood the weight of sorrow that had settled upon the royal grounds. Inside the private quarters, Prince William stood by the tall windows, his usually composed demeanor cracked by the devastating news that had arrived just hours before. His beloved grandfather, Prince Philip, had passed away peacefully in his sleep, marking the end of an era for the British royal family. Kate noticed her husband's trembling hands as he gripped his morning teacup. She had witnessed William through many challenging moments during their years together, but this grief cut deeper than anything she had seen before. The Duke of Edinburgh had been more than a grandfather to William. He had been a mentor, a source of strength, and a connection to his late mother, Princess Diana. The loss felt like losing another piece of his past, another link to the family memories that shaped him. The palace corridors buzzed with quiet activity as staff members moved with respectful urgency, preparing for the difficult days ahead. William and Kate knew that their private mourning would soon give way to public duty. The nation would look to them for guidance and comfort during this time of collective grief. The weight of royal responsibility had never felt heavier on their shoulders. Kate gently approached her husband, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. She could see the internal battle he was fighting between his personal pain and his duty as a future king. Years of royal training had taught them both that their emotions must be carefully managed in public, but in these precious private moments, she encouraged him to simply be a grandson mourning his grandfather. The couple's children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, sensed the somber atmosphere in their home. Kate had the difficult task of explaining to them that their great-grandfather had gone to heaven, watching as their innocent faces tried to process the concept of death. George, being the eldest, asked thoughtful questions about what this meant for the family, while Charlotte and Louis simply clung closer to their parents, sensing the sadness around them. As the day progressed, William and Kate began receiving calls from family members, each conversation adding another layer to their grief. The Queen, despite her own overwhelming sorrow at losing her husband of 73 years, remained remarkably composed as she discussed the funeral arrangements. Her strength served as an inspiration to William and Kate, reminding them of the dignity and grace expected of the royal family even in their darkest moments. The media had already begun gathering outside the palace gates, their cameras ready to capture every moment of the royal family's public response to the tragedy. William and Kate understood that their every gesture, every expression, would be scrutinized and analyzed by millions around the world. They felt the pressure to represent not just their own grief, but the nation's collective mourning for a man who had served faithfully for decades. Evening brought a brief respite from the overwhelming responsibilities ahead. William and Kate sat together in their private sitting room, sharing memories of Prince Philip and discussing how they would help their children remember their great-grandfather. They talked about his sense of humor, his dedication to duty, and his unwavering support for the Queen throughout their long marriage. The couple knew that tomorrow would bring even greater challenges as they began the formal process of mourning and preparing for the funeral. They would need to balance their roles as grieving family members with their duties as senior royals, supporting both the Queen and the nation through this difficult time. Their partnership had always been their greatest strength, and they drew comfort from knowing they would face whatever came next together. As they prepared for bed, William and Kate held each other close, understanding that their lives had changed forever. The loss of Prince Philip marked not just the end of a remarkable life, but the beginning of a new chapter for the royal family. They would need to step forward with grace, dignity, and unity, honoring his memory while continuing the important work of the monarchy. The coming days would test their strength, but they were determined to make Prince Philip proud through their response to this tremendous loss. The next morning arrived with an unusual stillness that seemed to blanket the entire kingdom. William woke early, his sleep having been restless and filled with memories of his grandfather. Kate was already awake beside him, quietly scrolling through the flood of condolence messages that had poured in from world leaders, celebrities, and ordinary citizens who felt a personal connection to Prince Philip's decades of service. Their first official duty of the day was to meet with the Queen at Buckingham Palace. The drive through London revealed a city in mourning, with flags flying at half-mast and flowers beginning to appear outside royal residences. Kate noticed how William's jaw tightened as they passed the growing memorial displays, each bouquet and handwritten note representing the nation's respect for his grandfather. Inside the palace, they found Queen Elizabeth in her private study, surrounded by photographs spanning her 73-year marriage to Prince Philip. Despite her composed exterior, William and Kate could see the profound sadness in her eyes. The Queen had lost not just her husband, but her closest confidant and advisor. Yet she maintained the dignified strength that had defined her reign, focusing on the practical arrangements that needed to be made. The conversation centered on the funeral plans, which needed to reflect both Prince Philip's wishes and the COVID-19 restrictions that limited the ceremony's size. William watched his grandmother navigate these difficult decisions with remarkable clarity, making choices that honored her husband's memory while ensuring the safety of all attendees. Her strength inspired both William and Kate, reminding them of the resilience expected from the royal family. Kate observed the tender moments between William and his grandmother, seeing how their shared grief created an even deeper bond between them. William's voice occasionally wavered as he shared memories of Prince Philip, but the Queen listened with a gentle smile, clearly finding comfort in these recollections. These private moments revealed the human side of the royal family that the public rarely witnessed. The afternoon brought meetings with palace officials, funeral directors, and security personnel. Every detail needed careful consideration, from the guest list that would be limited to just 30 people due to pandemic restrictions, to the specific military honors that would commemorate Prince Philip's remarkable naval career. William and Kate watched as decisions were made that would affect not just the royal family, but the entire nation's ability to say goodbye to this beloved figure. The couple also had to consider their children's involvement in the funeral proceedings. Prince Philip had been a loving great-grandfather, and George, Charlotte, and Louis deserved the opportunity to say goodbye. However, Kate worried about exposing them to such intense public scrutiny during their grief. They ultimately decided that the children's well-being came first, choosing to keep them away from the public ceremony while planning private moments for them to honor their great-grandfather's memory. As evening approached, William and Kate returned, home to find their residence filled with flowers, cards, and gifts from well-wishers around the world. The outpouring of support was overwhelming, demonstrating how Prince Philip's influence had touched people across different cultures and generations. Kate spent time reading through the messages with the children, helping them understand how much their great-grandfather meant to so many people. The family gathered for a quiet dinner, during which William shared stories about Prince Philip's sense of humor and his love for adventure. The children laughed at tales of their great-grandfather's mischievous pranks and his passion for carriage driving. These stories helped transform their sadness into celebration of a life well lived, exactly as Prince Philip would have wanted. Later, that evening, William and Kate received a call from Prince Harry in California. Despite the family tensions that had developed over recent years, Harry's grief was genuine and deep. The conversation was emotional but healing, as shared sorrow temporarily bridged the distance that had grown between the brothers. Kate facilitated much of the discussion, helping both brothers focus on their love for their grandfather rather than their past disagreements. The couple ended their day reviewing the funeral arrangements one final time, ensuring that every detail would honor Prince Philip's memory appropriately. They discussed their own roles in the ceremony, understanding that their behavior would be closely watched by millions of mourners around the world. Their unity and grace would need to provide comfort not just to their own family, but to a nation, saying goodbye to a remarkable man who had served faithfully for nearly a century. The days leading up to the funeral passed in a blur of preparation and quiet reflection. William found himself increasingly drawn to the private chapel at Windsor Castle, where he would sit in silence, processing his emotions and preparing mentally for the public goodbye he would soon have to say. Kate often joined him during these moments, their shared presence providing mutual comfort without the need for words. The couple made several private visits to the Queen during this time, each meeting revealing more of her vulnerability beneath the strong exterior she maintained for the public. Kate was particularly moved by the Queen's stories about her early years with Prince Philip, tales of young love and shared adventures that humanized the royal couple in ways the public rarely saw. These intimate conversations strengthened Kate's understanding of the deep bond she was witnessing dissolve. William struggled with the weight of knowing that his grandfather's death marked another step in his own journey toward kingship. Prince Philip had been instrumental in preparing him for royal duties, teaching him about service, sacrifice, and the delicate balance between personal desires and public responsibility. The loss felt like losing a crucial guide just when William needed wisdom most, as he watched his father and grandmother grapple with their new roles in the succession. The media attention intensified with each passing day, creating an additional burden for the grieving family. William and Kate had to carefully manage their public appearances, ensuring they projected strength and unity while dealing with their private pain. Kate became particularly protective of their family's privacy during this time, shielding the children from excessive media exposure while still allowing the public to see glimpses of the family's genuine grief. Prince Harry's arrival from California created both joy and tension within the family dynamic. William was genuinely happy to see his brother during such a difficult time, but the underlying issues that had caused their rift remained unresolved. Kate worked tirelessly behind the scenes to smooth interactions between the brothers, understanding that Prince Philip would have wanted them to support each other during this crisis. The funeral preparations revealed the enormous complexity of royal protocol during times of national mourning. William and Kate attended numerous briefings about timing, positioning, and appropriate behavior during the ceremony. Every gesture would be analyzed, every expression photographed and studied. They felt the pressure of representing not just their own grief, but serving as symbols of the nation's collective sorrow. Kate took on additional responsibilities supporting other female family members during this time. She spent considerable time with the Queen, offering companionship and practical help with correspondence and arrangements. She also reached out to other royal ladies, understanding that her role as a future queen consort included providing emotional support during family crises. The couple's children continued to ask difficult questions about death and what would happen to their great-grandfather now. William and Kate tried to answer honestly while keeping their responses age-appropriate, drawing on both their royal training and their instincts as parents. They wanted the children to understand the significance of what was happening while protecting them from overwhelming grief. As the funeral date approached, William and Kate spent increasing time reviewing their specific roles in the ceremony. They practiced walking at the appropriate pace, maintaining proper protocol, and supporting the Queen through what would undoubtedly be the most difficult day of her long reign. Their preparation was meticulous, understanding that any mistakes would be magnified by global media coverage. The evening before the funeral, the couple had a final private dinner with their immediate family. The conversation was filled with memories of Prince Philip, stories that made them laugh through their tears and reflections on his incredible legacy of service. William spoke movingly about his grandfather's influence on his own sense of duty, while Kate shared her memories of Prince Philip's kindness toward her as she adapted to royal life. They also discussed the future, acknowledging that Prince Philip's death marked the beginning of a new era for the royal family. William would now step into greater responsibilities, while Kate would need to expand her own royal duties. They found comfort in facing these changes together, their partnership strengthened by the challenges they had overcome. The night concluded, with personal reflection and prayer, each of them preparing mentally and emotionally for the public farewell they would give the next day. They understood that their behavior at the funeral would be remembered forever, becoming part of the historical record of how the royal family honored one of its most beloved members during a time of unprecedented global attention and restriction. The morning of Prince Philip's funeral dawned crisp and clear, as if the weather itself wanted to honor the Duke of Edinburgh with perfect conditions for his final journey. William woke before his alarm, his mind immediately focusing on the day ahead and the enormous responsibility he carried to support his family and represent the nation's grief with dignity and grace. Kate moved through their morning routine with quiet efficiency, helping William prepare for what would undoubtedly be one of the most emotionally challenging days of their lives. She had chosen her outfit carefully, selecting pieces that honored royal protocol while reflecting the solemn nature of the occasion. Her presence provided William with a steadying influence as he prepared to face the intense public scrutiny that would accompany every moment of the ceremony. The couple said goodbye to their children with extra tenderness, knowing they would be watching the proceedings from home. George had asked to attend, but William and Kate decided the intense media attention would be too overwhelming for young minds already processing the concept of death. Instead, they promised to honor great-grandfather Philip in ways that would make him proud, carrying the children's love with them throughout the ceremony. Arriving at Windsor Castle, William and Kate joined other family members in the final preparations, before the funeral procession. The atmosphere was heavy with emotion, but also filled with determination to give Prince Philip the dignified farewell he deserved. Kate noticed how William drew strength from being surrounded by his family during this crucial moment, their shared grief creating bonds that transcended any previous disagreements. The reunion with Prince Harry was particularly poignant, as the brothers stood together for the first time in over a year. Kate watched carefully as William and Harry navigated their complex relationship during this emotional time, hoping that their shared love for their grandfather might help heal some of the wounds that had developed between them. She subtly facilitated conversations that focused on positive memories rather than past conflicts. As the funeral procession began, William and Kate took their designated positions with remarkable composure. The sight of Prince Philip's coffin, draped with his personal standard and topped with his naval cap and sword, created a powerful reminder of his decades of faithful service. William's face remained stoic, but Kate could see the emotion in his eyes as he honored his grandfather with each measured step. The procession through Windsor Castle grounds was both magnificent and heartbreaking. Kate observed the perfectly choreographed military honors, the solemn music, and the respectful silence of the limited number of attendees allowed due to COVID restrictions. Every detail had been planned to reflect Prince Philip's wishes for a relatively simple ceremony, yet the dignity and grandeur of the moment honored his remarkable legacy. Inside St. George's Chapel, William and Kate sat with perfect posture and appropriate solemnity, their behavior serving as an example for the nation watching at home. Kate was particularly aware of supporting the Queen, who sat alone due to pandemic protocols, creating one of the most poignant images of the entire ceremony. The sight of the monarch's solitary grief touched hearts around the world. During the Hall service, William struggled to maintain his composure as memories of his grandfather flooded his mind. Kate provided subtle support through small gestures, a gentle touch or meaningful glance that reminded him he wasn't facing this ordeal alone. Their partnership during this crucial moment demonstrated the strength of their relationship and their shared commitment to royal duty. The Archbishop of Canterbury's words about Prince Philip's life of service resonated deeply with both William and Kate, reminding them of the example set by the Duke of Edinburgh throughout his 99 years. His dedication to duty, His support for the Queen and his commitment to numerous charitable causes provided a blueprint for their own future service to the nation. As the ceremony concluded, William and Kate participated in the final farewell, with grace and dignity that would be remembered by historians and royal watchers for generations. Their composure under intense emotional pressure demonstrated their readiness for the increased responsibilities that Prince Philip's death would bring to their roles within the royal family. The burial service was private, attended only by the closest family members. This intimate gathering allowed for more personal expressions of grief and love, with William finally able to let his guard down slightly as he said his final goodbye to the grandfather who had shaped so much of his understanding about duty, service, and leadership. Throughout this emotionally charged day, Kate remained William's constant source of strength, anticipating his needs and providing comfort through her steady presence. Their unity during this crisis reinforced their position as the future of the monarchy, showing the nation that the royal family would continue with grace and dignity even after losing one of its most beloved members. The days immediately following Prince Philip's funeral brought a strange mixture of relief and continued sorrow for William and Kate. The intense pressure of the public ceremony had passed, but the reality of life without Prince Philip was just beginning to settle in. The couple found themselves in the unique position of processing their own grief while supporting both the Queen and the nation through the aftermath of losing such an iconic figure. William discovered that returning to normal routines felt impossible when everything had fundamentally changed. His grandfather's voice was no longer just a phone call away, ready to offer advice about royal duties or simply share a laugh about palace life. Kate watched her husband struggle with this absence, noticing how he would sometimes reach for his phone to call Prince Philip before remembering that those conversations would never happen again. The Queen requested more frequent visits from William and Kate during this adjustment period, clearly finding comfort in their company and that of her great-grandchildren. These visits revealed a more vulnerable side of the monarch that few people ever witnessed. Kate was moved by the Queen's stories about the small daily routines she had shared with Prince Philip, the morning conversations over breakfast and evening, walks that had structured their life together for over 7 decades. The couple also noticed changes in their own relationship with the media and public expectations. Prince Philip's death had elevated their status within the royal hierarchy, bringing increased scrutiny and responsibility. Every public appearance now carried additional weight as the nation looked to them for stability and continuity during this period of transition. Kate felt this pressure particularly keenly, understanding that her role as a future queen consort had become more immediate and vital. William began taking on additional duties that had previously been handled by Prince Philip, including patronages and ceremonial roles that required careful attention and dedication. Kate supported him through this transition, helping him research organizations and causes that had been important to his grandfather. They were determined to honor Prince Philip's legacy by maintaining the high standards he had set for royal service. The couple's children continued to ask questions about their great-grandfather's absence, requiring William and Kate to navigate ongoing conversations about death, memory, and family legacy. They decided to create special traditions that would help George, Charlotte, and Louis remember Prince Philip, including visiting places he had loved and continuing some of the activities he had enjoyed with them during family gatherings. Prince Harry's presence during the funeral had created opportunities for healing, but also highlighted the ongoing tensions within the family. William and Kate worked carefully to maintain positive relationships while protecting their own family's well-being. Kate particularly served as a bridge between the brothers, encouraging communication focused on their shared love for their grandfather, rather than past disagreements. The enormous public response to Prince Philip's death surprised even the royal family, with tributes continuing to pour in from around the world weeks after the funeral. William and Kate spent considerable time reviewing these messages, finding comfort in stories from ordinary people whose lives had been touched by Prince Philip's dedication to service. These testimonials reinforced their understanding of the impact one person could have through consistent commitment to helping others. As the initial shock of loss began to fade, William and Kate started planning how they would honor Prince Philip's memory through their future work. They discussed establishing new charitable initiatives, continuing his environmental conservation efforts, and maintaining his commitment to supporting young people through programs like the Duke of Edinburgh's Award. Their planning sessions became a way of processing grief while creating positive outcomes from their loss. The couple also reflected on how Prince Philip's death had strengthened their own partnership and commitment to their royal roles. Witnessing the Queen's dignity during her greatest personal loss reinforced their understanding of the sacrifices required by royal duty. They drew inspiration from Prince Philip's example of supporting the monarch while maintaining his own identity and interests. Kate noticed positive changes in William's approach to his royal responsibilities, as his grandfather's death seemed to clarify his sense of purpose and dedication to service. The grief had been profound, but it had also connected him more deeply to the traditions and values that defined the monarchy. She supported this growth while managing her own expanding role within the royal family. The media attention gradually shifted from intense scrutiny of their grief to curiosity about how they would carry forward Prince Philip's legacy. William and Kate understood that their every action would be interpreted through this lens, making their choices about charitable work, public appearances, and family life even more significant than before. They embraced this responsibility while maintaining their commitment to authenticity and genuine service to the nation. Months after Prince Philip's funeral, William and Kate had established new patterns of life that honored his memory while moving forward with their expanding royal duties. The acute pain of loss had evolved into a deeper appreciation for the lessons he had taught them and the example he had set throughout his remarkable life. Their relationship had been strengthened by navigating this crisis together, creating an even stronger foundation for their future roles as king and queen consort. The Queen had gradually returned to her public duties, but William and Kate noticed she relied on them more heavily than ever before. Their regular visits to see her had become essential parts of her routine, providing companionship and practical support as she adjusted to life without her constant partner. Kate had developed a particularly close relationship with the Queen during this period, learning invaluable lessons about resilience, duty, and grace under pressure. William found that his grief had transformed into motivation for his royal work, channeling his love for his grandfather into dedication to the causes and organizations Prince Philip had supported. The Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme became particularly meaningful to William, as he saw it as a direct way to continue his grandfather's legacy of encouraging young people to challenge themselves and serve their communities. The couple's approach to their public duties had matured significantly through the experience of public mourning. They had learned to balance authentic emotion with royal protocol, showing the nation that the royal family were real people experiencing genuine grief while maintaining the dignity and stability that the monarchy represented. This balance had earned them increased respect and affection from the British public. Kate's role within the royal family had expanded naturally as she stepped up to support both William and the Queen through their grief. Her steady presence and practical approach to problem-solving had proven invaluable during the crisis, demonstrating her readiness for the increased responsibilities that would come with William's eventual ascension to the throne. The experience had confirmed her place as a stabilizing force within the monarchy. The relationship between William and Prince Harry had improved somewhat through their shared grief, though significant challenges remained. Kate continued to facilitate positive interactions when possible, understanding that family unity remained important despite the geographical and emotional distance that had developed. She hoped that time and shared experiences would eventually heal the wounds that had divided the brothers. The couple's children had processed their great-grandfather's death with the resilience typical of young people, but William and Kate noticed lasting impacts on their understanding of duty and service. George, in particular, seemed to grasp more clearly his future role and the importance of the royal family's work. The parents used these teachable moments to instill values of service and dedication that Prince Philip had embodied throughout his life. Public interest in the royal family had shifted following Prince Philip's death, with increased focus on how William and Kate would carry forward the monarchy's traditions while adapting to modern challenges. The couple embraced this attention as an opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to service and their understanding of the evolving role of the royal family in contemporary British society. The anniversary of Prince Philip's death brought both sadness and celebration as the family marked his passing while also commemorating his incredible contributions to the nation and Commonwealth. William and Kate organized private family gatherings that focused on positive memories and gratitude for his influence on their lives, setting a tone of remembrance rather than mourning. Looking toward the future, William and Kate understood that Prince Philip's death had accelerated their preparation for their ultimate roles as monarch and consort. They approached this reality with maturity and dedication, drawing on the lessons he had taught them about service, sacrifice, and the importance of supporting each other through the challenges of royal life. The experience of losing Prince Philip and navigating public grief had tested William and Kate's partnership in ways they could never have anticipated. They emerged from this trial stronger and more unified, with a deeper understanding of their responsibilities to each other, their family, and the nation. Their graceful handling of this profound loss had demonstrated to the world that the monarchy would continue with dignity and purpose. As they moved forward, William and Kate carried Prince Philip's memory with them in everything they did, from major state occasions to quiet family moments. His example of unwavering dedication to duty, combined with genuine care for people and causes, provided a blueprint for their own service. They understood that honoring his legacy meant not just remembering him fondly, but actively continuing the work of building a monarchy that served the nation with integrity, compassion, and unwavering commitment to the common good.